I think this season our biggest goal is going to be developing unity as quickly as possible.
Nick Skerlick will head into his third season as the head coach of the Maine Nordiques. After coming off an East Division Finals appearance, the Nordiques are hungry to make it to Blaine, Minnesota. On this episode of NA Now, Nick shares with us what the recruitment has looked like this past summer for the Nordiques.
I think last season we lost about 14 players to age out. I think we had one of the older teams in the league. So I think for recruiting purposes, we started that recruiting right after the season was over in mid-May. And there's a lot of work to be done. When you have to replace 10 forwards, it's never easy. So luckily enough for us, we had 7 of our 9 defensemen are returning. So for all purpose sakes, we're looking for goal scoring. And it's a little bit easier when you know what you're looking for and you need so much of a certain thing. So I think it was actually easier this year to kind of mass recruit players, and we're looking for as many forwards as we can find that could play at the level. I'd say the challenge is always with recruiting is there's a lot of other good teams in our league. I mean, every kid we've spoke to that we wanted to sign had already spoken to the same teams that are always there at the end of the season in May. You know, the Lone Stars, the Marylands, the Rochesters. So we're all looking at the same players, and as it is frustrating to recruit, the same player, it is a lot of fun knowing that we're all on the same player, which means we're all doing it the correct way. And so I think makes our league special and the recruiting so much fun.
Well, I know you talked about you have a handful of defensemen returning. What does it mean to have some of those veterans in the locker room and really helping to take shape of what the Maine Nordiques are for the 2025-26 season?
It means everything in terms of the first few days of the season. I actually, for me personally, I believe the first 2 months are the most important part of the season. I think everyone will tell you it's the end of the season. I disagree with that. Teams that have good starts typically get players that get dropped down from maybe the USHL. You also set your culture right away. Last year, I was blown away with how well our players treated each other. We used to sit there and go, guys, can you do something to cause some type of adversity so we can battle through and have team resiliency? It makes your life easier because you don't have different personalities in the locker room. Everyone had the same goal last year. And I think returning 9 or 10 players this season, it's going to be really easy for us to be impactful in the league standings right away. I don't think the new guys are going to miss a beat because we have so many sophomores, if you would, guys who played a year as a rookie who are coming in. So I don't have to pay too much attention to the culture aspect because the kids have done such a great job. And it's not just since my run at the head coach and general managing position. It starts all the way down from previous coaches. I mean, it's every year we have 8 to 9 returners, and the culture just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And I think as a coach, it's a lot of fun to work with kids who want to be there every day. That is our culture, want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, then there's a lot of other options for any good player.
Well, talking about the players, what makes athletes in the North American Hockey League, and specifically with the Maine Nordiques, a little bit different than any other organization out there and any other league out there?
I think North American Hockey League as a whole is a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to work in. I can't imagine even playing in it. It's a little bit different for us in Maine. We're the furthest team north in our division. We have 3 trips over 10 hours, and then most of our trips except for 2. So of our 9 opponents, we're driving 6+ hours to 7 of the 9. We spend a lot of time on the bus. There's countless mornings. We wake up Sunday morning at the parking lot of our facility and the sun's up, right? And there might be snow on the ground. It might be beautiful weather and you want to, go out and enjoy the outdoors of Maine. But I will say, there needs to be a focus from our players because I think we ride the bus in the East Division way more than any other organization, which I truthfully believe our season's full of ups and downs. Any program in the North American League is going to have ups and downs. You see how streaky teams get at different parts of the year. We typically hit a slow patch around January, February, at least for my previous 2 seasons. And I think that's the illness and the flu. But yet in our travel, I give my guys a lot of credit. I really do. I mean, it's far. Trips to Maryland, who's a huge division foe for us, it's 13 hours. Rochester, another division foe for us, that's 10 hours. So I think what makes our guys so special is that resilient factor of having to ride the bus and play a tough schedule. I think everyone can agree the East Division, top to bottom, was the closest in terms of the win losses. I think every team had 20 wins. There's no easy weekend in our division last season, right? There was no opponent that we could go in and say, okay, we should win 2 games. It was, hey, hopefully we can win 1 game this weekend. So I think the East Division as a whole, as well as what our guys endure on travel perspective, is special for the development, and it really prepares these kids for the next level of college hockey.
Absolutely. And while you're still reflecting on that last season roster, that your team featured a 35-18-4-2 regular season record, and you made it all the way to the East Division Finals against the Rochester Junior Americans. What were some of the biggest lessons that you learned from that experience last year and ultimately making it all the way to the East Division Finals?
First year flew by for me in the North American Hockey League, so the 23-24 season. Like every weekend was so exciting because I was so new to the league, and I wanted to prove for myself, only to myself, I can do this at this level. Last season was a slower season. I feel like not just myself, but the staff, our hockey players, everyone was able to slow it down and look into different perspectives. We had 6 injuries that were 3 months plus at the same exact time, and 5 were defensemen. So that taught me when we were getting players from lower leagues or midget leagues to be more patient with our guys. Like when you're missing half your decor for a 30-year season, it's frustrating. And I think the one thing I would say is you learn as a coach and a player that at this level, anyone can be anyone on any given night. It does not matter who's in the lineup. And that was special for me because typically you have a bad game Friday night. You want to really beat it into your players' minds that, hey, we got to be better. But it gets to a point in February and March where if you're bad one game, the next game you're probably going to be good. The kids really understand and grasp that, which is a lot of fun for me because I'm a guy who likes to panic when things aren't going well, especially Monday through Thursday before the next set of games. And seeing my group handle it and really show a sense of maturity this year was really easy to coach these kids. And that's not just our team. That's how good the league is. That's how good every team's roster is. You got mature teams. You got younger teams who are going to be very good in a year or two. I'd say maturity, everyone says that they have it, but I really think this league teaches you maturity as a player and a coach. There's no question.
And I know you said earlier in this interview that you have 14 age outs, so you have a rebuild going on. But with age outs also comes with NCAA commitments and guys moving on. And with this last season's roster, it featured 12 athletes securing NCAA commitments. How does it feel as a coach to see your athletes take that next step in their hockey playing career?
It's the most exciting part of the job when a player does get that dream opportunity, or maybe a school talks to a player at the showcase, and let's just say September. You start to become the player, and their wants and their needs become yours. And there's times where you're like, you're speaking to college coaches and you're like, come on, let's get this going here. Let's get this kid placed. I think everyone, the elephant in the room right now is the CHL rule for Division I college hockey. And that's going to have impact across North America, not just the North American League, but every Tier 2 junior league in Canada and the United States. To have 12 this year was special. I think for us though, we want to improve this season and get to that 15 mark, and say, hey, 2/3 of our roster is an NCAA commit. But whether it's 1 or 15, when you find a kid who really is excited about their next opportunity at the collegiate level, it really is what makes this job special. Especially when you begin relationships with mom and dad and maybe grandparents that are coming up to watch the team play at home. They have a little bit of a bigger smile the weekend after their son's committed to a college, and those families can finally relax and I guess relieve some stress. And as a coach, we're relieved every day a kid finds a match that works out for them. But like I said, with everything going on last season with the CHL, I think this year we kind of regrouped, built relationships with those colleges that have taken our kids in the past. And now for me, we want 15 Division I or Division III commits at the highest level possible at the best institutes provided education.
As you look ahead for this upcoming year, what is the goal? What are the main goals that you want from the Maine Nordiques roster?
It's kind of tricky right now to establish those goals. Like, talking about maturing in this league, for myself, I used to write 3 goals for my team at the beginning of the year, and it would have the metrics should be wins, playoff advancement, and championships. I think this season our biggest goal is going to be developing unity as quickly as possible and really finding out the 24-man roster as quickly as possible. And that's including injuries. Last year when we got to the end of the year, we lost 2 key players in February and March, and it was turnkey. Anyone could play on our team last year. So I think that would be the team goal, is to find the 24 players that get along with each other the most, that are all at the same level. And then I think you can worry about the other metrics once you have that. Your wins, your playoff seeding, your advancements in the playoffs. The Maine Nordiques, a program that has now been to the East Division Final 4 out of 6 years in its existence. We've only been to the Robertson Cup once. Is that a goal? Of course it's a goal. But I think you got to start smaller. I think you got to start with the players, because for me as a coach, I've learned that if you could provide each individual goal, they all come together as a unit quicker rather than trying to force them to be a team quicker. So to get that 24-man roster down as quickly as possible and be comfortable with it as a coach and have every player comfortable with it in the room, that is the goal. And I haven't really summarized that into a shorter sentence, but we're going to for the first day of training camp.
As you head into your third season as the head coach of the Maine Nordiques, how would you describe your coaching style?
Great question. It's evolving. I could tell you that. The league forces coaches to evolve. I think I got into this in 23-24, and I had a very strong team. I inherited a very good D-core, 4 or 5 returning defensemen. I inherited 3 forwards and was able to go out and recruit 9 very high-end forwards that year. And we started the year, I believe it was 24-6-2 into the holiday break. And when I came back, every loss was just so frustrating, because you're like, guys, how could we be losing? You won 24, 32 games. I would get excited about the wins and down about the losses. I think my coaching style has evolved. The league has forced me to evolve, to kind of understand, hey, there's another day if it's a bad result. And hey, there's another day if it's a good result. So we're not too high, we're not too low in this room. I'm not a big fan of the bag skates, which I think is my number one recruiting tool. I don't think we've ever bag skated our team or forced physical punishment on them by doing exercise. We'd rather break down film. We'd rather have honest conversations about becoming young men, or further becoming young men and adults, which I think resonates to the players. And we don't waste ice time, on working on things that aren't necessary, such as conditioning in January because we had a bad road trip, if you would. So I like to say that my coaching style is evolving. It's ever so evolving, but I think my youth, only being about 10 years older than most of my players, I'd like to say I try to relate to them as much as possible. But I think, every coach has their own style. Some guys master their style and some guys have to evolve. I'm a guy who had to evolve because my style did not work in year 1 for 60 games. Last year, I felt more impactful through the 60-game schedule. And even when we hit, 4th place the last weekend of the season, I still knew we were going to get to the finals. I trusted in the group, and I'd say trust in this team is probably my number one asset or attribute to being the coach that I am.
Well, the NA Showcase is quickly approaching, and the Maine Nordiques will head to Blaine, Minnesota. What are you looking forward to most once you have those athletes there for the greatest show on ice?
Oh, that showcase is a lot of fun. I think what I'm looking forward to the most is that is your first. So for us in the East Division, we'll have played 4 games by then. We have a 2-week training camp, and then we'll have our 4 games. That is really when your team is 3/4 evolved into the roster. So it's a lot of fun to watch the team go, and it's fun to see what everyone else has too. That I will say. Away from the hockey, my answer would be away from the hockey. I love the other guys who coach the teams in this league. I think every guy in this league is special, even the new guys that we don't really know very well. Seeing everybody, talking about their recruiting, hearing some of the stories they had to get players or maybe did not get players, it teaches you a lot into the recruiting aspect. Seeing the other divisions is a lot of fun. It really is. Watching the South play the Midwest or the Central play another East Division team. I'm more excited to watch the parity between all the divisions and most importantly, seeing the rest of the North American Hockey League family. I think that's what makes it the most fun.
Absolutely. And to wrap up this interview, what is one of your favorite memories from this past season with the Maine Nordiques?
Oh, man. There's a lot of them. I would say, and I'm sorry to throw a specific team. Maryland Black Bears has knocked us out of the playoffs 2 years running, in the finals actually, and winning Game 4 at home in front of 2,300 people was special. That was by far my most favorite memory, maybe in my 2 years of coaching. This club, I can't say enough about the Lewiston Auburn fan base that we've been able to establish over the last 5-6 years, to finally beat that team that's coached so well and managed so well was finally the first time I think I took a breath of fresh air and kind of relaxed. And knowing Rochester was going to be very hard, and obviously they were, it still felt good to get that victory, because that's really what we were striving for. I'd say you think about Game 5 and 24 when we lost in the finals, up 2-0, blew the lead. It eats at you. So that was probably by far my most favorite memory this season. But I also want to add in top prospects. That is a ton of fun. You can see the best of the uncommitted players in the whole league. I've been lucky enough to be behind the bench for that 2 years running. That's a fun one because there's not a lot of stress, and it's more opportunity to work with other players in the league and continue to network your own players with all the schools in attendance.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today. We'll see you in a few short weeks at the NA Showcase.
Awesome. Thank you.